Hey peeps, welcome to the Crafty Witch UK. My name is Arietta and today we are talking tarot. So I am going to go through a few of my decks, talk a little bit about my history with tarot, and we will look at some of the cards that I have. So this is potentially going to turn into a bit of a series, so do let me know down in the comments if there's something else that you would like to see me go into more detail on with these. So yeah, where to start? I've got obviously a few of my favorite decks here to share with you, and they represent some sort of different styles of deck as well. So let's go through different kinds. I'm just going to clear some of these to the side so that we can take our time with each deck, maybe look at some similarities, talk about the uses and the benefits of particular decks. So yeah, and then I think I also want to talk about oracle cards and fortune cards, but we'll probably do that in a different video. So again, if you've got any suggestions of particular decks that you would like to know more about, or that you want to know if I have used, do let me know down in those comments. So yeah, let's start by talking about my tarot journey a little bit. So choosing a deck is always going to be really personal, and everybody's journey to find their perfect deck is going to be different, and there's a lot of trial and error involved as well. So my first deck I no longer have, it was passed on to a friend, but the first deck that I ever had was the Mythic Tarot. If I can find a picture online, I'll pop it on the screen for you. So yeah, the Mythic Tarot, I purchased it from a bookstore, and I got it because it was a set that came with a deck and a book, and like a big hardback book. It largely dealt with mythology, hence Mythic Tarot, and I did like the imagery. I learned a lot from that, but the symbolism wasn't perfect for me. It didn't sit 100% with what I wanted from a deck. So I kept using it and kept my eyes peeled for other decks. I then came across this deck. This is the Tarot of the Old Path. There. This I found on a market stall at a laugh event. It wasn't cheap, but I kept walking past it and I kept being drawn back to it, looking at it and picking it up and putting it down. And I almost, every time that I went past, I was almost hoping that somebody else would have bought it so that I wouldn't have to worry about whether or not I could afford it, because I really couldn't. But regardless, yeah, in the end, it was still there come the end of my weekend's camp. And so I stumped up the cash and took it home. So this deck I really loved, and I still do love. You can see by the tatty box it's been used a lot. Oh, well, it's not in order. But yeah, we've got, let me bring you down a bit. We've got some really lovely cards. Some of the names are slightly different in this deck to what you might be used to, but I really do like this artwork. It's just very appealing to me. Yeah, really, really nice. So it is Tarot of the Old Path. So it deals a lot with sort of pagan symbology and things that will fit well into a reading based around a pagan lifestyle. And I think the changes in the names sort of reflect that as well. But still, there's some common symbolism that you'll find in a lot of different cards. So the Empress is a card that I particularly like. Where is, there we go. She's particularly lovely. So this deck, as you may have noticed, has got a pictorial minor arcana. So I should have said at the beginning, this isn't really a teaching tarot kind of thing, but tarot decks have a minor arcana and a major arcana. Apologies for that weirdness to the camera. So as I was saying, yes, the minor arcana is more like your traditional deck of cards, playing cards, and these cards have pictures for those cards instead of just the pips, so you have something to go on to help you to learn those meanings. So I will check to see if this deck is still available. Not sure. I'll have a look and I'll see if I can find it. On the box, it just says Tarot of the Old Path, created by Sylvia Gainsford and Howard Rodway with the help of 8 witches, based on the traditions of the Wicca path. I'm not sure why they've put witches in inverted commas there. That's a bit weird. Never noticed that before. But hey, the star is a beautiful one as well. High Priestess. So these are, I love the tone of these cards. I love the pictures. Definitely there is kind of a Ren Fair sort of vibe to them as well, which certainly spoke to me at the time and continues to be something that I enjoy. So this was my first deck that I got specifically for the imagery, that I got because I was drawn to it. So it's copyright 1990, this one, so it's not a particularly old deck, or at least the image on the back is copyright 1990. Very pretty. So yeah, like I say, if I can find details, I will put them in the description for this video, but I don't know how many of these are still going to be available. So yeah, but that's what the box looks like if you are looking out for it on secondhand marketplaces or whatever. Yeah, so I love this deck, obviously, used it a lot, and in the years since getting this deck, I have found myself drawn to a few other decks, but then the Annals Divine Tarot captured my heart. I don't remember where I first saw this. I think it may have been on like a tarot Yahoo group or some sort of chat forum, that I saw some of the artwork from it, and then I sort of went searching for that artwork to find out where to get it. So this comes in quite a big box because it does come with a full book as well, which is this book. So it's a full-sized book. These are published by Llewellyn. This deck is by Lisa Hunt. And yeah, you can see it's a good sized book, not like the little leaflets that you sometimes get inside the boxes. And the cards are here. So yeah, Animals Divine, there's something about this artwork that just, on a more, I don't know, almost, I'm almost tempted to say a sort of a more mature level. It's almost like, if this is my maiden deck, this is my mother deck. So if we're talking triple goddess. So yeah, I'll go through these as well, so you'll get to see them. So we have got each of these cards, just to say, yeah, each of these cards contains an animal, and then the book has sort of either a story or an explanation linked to them, and particularly for the major arcana, that explains why that animal is symbolic for that particular card. So I'll just read you on the back of the book. It says, unleash familiar powers. They appear as guides, totems, familiars, glimpsed on quiet hikes, in vivid dreams, or even on your windowsill. The wild world of animals is a vast source of spiritual wisdom and primal power. The potent symbols and intricate images of the Animals Divine Tarot will help you connect with the power through divination, meditation, and dream work. The Animals Divine Companion book contains in-depth descriptions of the multiple symbols and meanings inherent in each card, as well as tarot card layouts and tips for using the deck for meditation and dream exploration. Unleash the familiar powers of animals and let them be your guides as you connect with the ancient wisdom of the wild. So I would, if you are an animal person, this may be a deck that really does speak to you. So we've got the wheel here, represented by all of the animals. Also quite often in here they have sort of switched. So here we've got the Knight of Pentacles, but it's represented by the Mistress of Animals. So they sort of gender swapped some of them, but that's completely fine because there aren't that many female cards. I think there is an imbalance in the original sort of tarot set. And then when we come to Major Arcana as well, you'll find that you've got a lot of gods that are linked with animals. So yeah, and the stories around them are really interesting. I've learned a lot, and there's still things that I have to go back and look up each time because I'm like, oh yeah, I don't remember the whole story behind that card. But yeah, really lovely, and they cross. These cards and the symbolism within these cards definitely crosses sort of cultural boundaries. So you'll see that, you know, we've got Egyptian, we've got Native American, we've got Eastern philosophy, we've got Norse in there as well, we've got Saxon imagery. So there's a lot there. There's Bast. So we've got Odin here as the moon, otters, mice, and I like the fact that it really is all animals. So I think we just went past some little bugs. What's they gone? Yeah. So we had ladybugs, and then you've got wolves and whales. So it's all animals of all shapes and sizes. And yeah, so we've got ants. So literally, we've got everything, all the sizes. Zeus there, Ganesha, and I think the stories for this deck as well, they don't shy away from the sort of darker side to some of these animals. It sort of embraces that as well. Coyote, guinea pig. So here's Athena. Obviously I have recently done a diamond painting of Athena. So here she is with her sword and her owl. And there's all these other little symbols in the background that you can see. Polar bear, bats, tortoise and turtle. Yeah, both get a look in here. Okay, so yeah, these are my current go-to deck. They are the deck that I use most often these days. I don't know. I love the sort of storytelling nature of them. I love how detailed the symbolism is for these cards. They're just, yeah, this is my deck. So yeah, this, I would definitely say this is sort of my, not that I don't do tarot every day, but this would be my everyday deck. I have also had the pleasure of being part of a custom deck. This deck here, which is rather larger if you look at the card size difference. Yeah, this is a custom deck that was put together by a group of friends. We were creating this for a friend who had had her deck stolen, and so because at the time we thought that that deck couldn't be replaced, we decided to make a deck for her as a replacement. So the size of these cards is, it is this size because this is the size of the deck, the cards for the deck that was stolen. And the deck we called the Magpie Deck because it was drawn together from lots of different places. So I designed 2 cards in this deck. I think most people did 2 cards in the end. But yeah, this was a great project to work on. The act of creating this deck was sort of itself a form of divination because the cards were picked out for us from a deck of tarot to decide which card we would get to design. So that became yeah, sort of a reading for each of us as to which card we would get. So I will flick through a few of these so that you can see them. Obviously, because this was designed by a group of people and for one specific person, there's some kind of in-jokes in here that aren't going to work for everybody, and that is one of the things with custom decks is that they're only going to work perhaps, well, not only going to work, but they are designed for the people that are going to be using them. But there are some cards that I particularly love, and in fact this is one of them. I do have a list somewhere of the names of all the creators, but I don't have that with me because it's a digital thing. I haven't printed it out. But this card was used to represent strength, and the idea that when everybody around you is, being chaotic and not following the rules, to actually sit and do what needs to be done for yourself and to stay strong in your own sort of your own moral ground, your own boundaries. That is a form of strength. That idea of just having the strength to be yourself when everybody around you is maybe following a different crowd. So I really like that idea. So that's one of my favourites. So yeah, so people use different techniques as well. So I think this was, one was hand drawn. Some people used sort of Photoshop to make the cards. I need to move you out a little bit so you can see them a bit better. These are bigger cards. Yeah, so there's a real difference. So some people wrote on the cards as to what they were going to represent, and other people didn't put a title. So we kept it very, very loose. People could do whatever they wanted to, and there was a whole range of ages and abilities. Nothing was sort of out of bounds in terms of people wanting to design cards. So, and there's all sorts here. That's a particularly nice one. And some people really looked at sort of their own career paths and things and took images from that. Oh, here are my 2 cards. So I was doing the Maiden of Cups. Unfortunately, I chose to do pencil and graphite and colour pencil, and it did not translate very well to being printed. If I could go back and do this again, I definitely do stronger outlines on everything, but there she is. So she is my Maiden of Cups there, who is expressing her wild side through her hair while everything else is grey. And then I also got to do the High Priestess card. So she is all about new knowledge, and which is why the book is blank. So she is available to receive knowledge and information. She is a teacher, but she is also learning. Beautiful sort of horned god picture there. We've got this one was done as a silk painting, so if you've seen any of my videos on silk painting, you'll know sort of how much effort will have gone into doing this one. We've got this lovely pentacle symbol here made with the rods or sticks. Some people again using photographs, computer. We've got small sketches, we've got more detailed paintings. It really is amazing. And yeah, whilst I don't use this deck particularly, it's always a joy to go back through for me, because it brings back such a lot of memories of the whole process of, you know, us having this sort of secret group and doing all this in secret, and then getting them printed, and then working together on getting these turned into decks. Sadly, this is a bit of a this dates it perhaps a little bit, but yeah, I love these. I think I've got Queen of Pentacles there. We've got some Emperor. We've got Morris dancers there, using an actual photo of people that we know that do Morris. Again, this idea of the wands as instruments. This one was a cross stitch. If I bring it, I don't think you can, you might be able to just tell that it was done as a cross stitch. Got some Star Wars symbology there. This one is another tapestry. Beautiful artwork. Several of the people that worked on this are now working as artists or as tattooists, and so there's some beautiful artwork. This is a particular favourite of mine. This was done as a sort of a collage, sort of a quilted idea. So all of these things, it was very three-dimensional. The Fool, and then taking a photo of that three-dimensional picture. Beautiful. Why this bottom half of the deck is all upside down. So here we've got Chariot represented by motorbikes. I mean, great choice of imagery. Oh, I don't remember. That was somebody's cat. I cannot remember who did that one, but yeah, again, somebody's cat. And finishing with a crochet hook for Ace of Wands. So, yeah, designing your own deck is, it's a lot of work if you're just doing it on your own. Working as a community project like this was great fun. Yeah, I've since doing this deck, which was, gosh, a long time ago now, I've produced artwork for another collaboration deck, but sadly that one didn't ever get, that didn't ever go into production, so I don't actually have a copy of that, which was a shame because my artwork had improved. So, yeah, then after this, I then have been working on the Tower of the Yellow Brick Road with my sort of spiritual brother, Mr. J. So we've been working on that for too many years. It's an ongoing labour of love based on the Wizard of Oz books, and the first book specifically. And so not the movie, because if you start using the movie, you get all sorts of copyright issues. Where he's doing the artwork and I'm writing the book to go with. So yeah, it will, yeah, like I say, it's an ongoing labour of love. It may never be finished, but it's definitely been a great tool for learning more about tarot symbolism, thinking about what I want to put in the cards. I've often thought that it might be a really good idea to build a deck from all of the decks that I've got, but sort of using my favourite cards from each deck and putting those together to create my perfect deck. The only problem, of course, is the difference in sizes, and the backs of the cards would make that impractical. But maybe there's some way of scanning in the front imagery and then creating myself just sort of a personal deck. Yeah, it's something to think about. So on to other decks that I've got. So those are sort of probably maybe the most interesting and the ones that I use the most often. Most recent acquisition, which you will have seen, so I will only whiz through this one very quickly, because this was purchased for me by a subscriber. So this was a subscriber gift, and it is the Tarot of Pagan Cats. And this, you can tell how new this one is because it's very slidey in the hand. The others have picked up a bit more sort of, they're less slidey. So yeah, so these ones, they are absolutely gorgeous. Tarot imagery, but all using cats, obviously. And they are completely adorable. They're so nice because there's a really nice balance in this deck of the traditional tarot imagery that you would get in sort of the most basic deck, and then going on to include this kind of, yeah, the cats don't look out of place in any of these images. They don't look like they've been added sort of as an afterthought. They really do look like, of course there's a cat in that picture, why wouldn't there be? So yeah, they are really particularly lovely. Yeah, I also found this particular deck, I found as a set of stickers. I'm not sure how legit they are, but I have them now as a set of stickers. That my plan is to use those stickers in my Book of Shadows and then pop in little explanations of each of the cards. So there we go. Interesting that these cards have got 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 different languages on them. So it's interesting to see the different names for the cards in different languages. But yeah, so they are very, very beautiful. I haven't had a massive amount of time to get used to using those yet. But yeah, I do like them a lot. Other cards. This is the Tarot tattoo. This was another gift. It is not a deck that I use, but it is very beautiful, and I think sometimes it's okay to just have them as artwork. This has got a much simpler minor arcana where they are just sort of much more like a traditional playing card. So we've got our swords, and then we've got our cups. Ooh. I'm getting carried away there. And then wands. Swans. And then they call them coins as opposed to pentacles or pentagrams, depending upon the deck. It does vary in the same way that wands is sometimes sticks or staves. Swords and cups don't tend to change though. So this is using a very sort of traditional tattoo style. And then we're into our major arcana. So just move you up there. World, Sun, Judgment, Moon, Star, Tower, Devil, Temperance, Death, Hanged Man, Strength, Wheel of Fortune, Hermit, Justice, Chariot, Lovers, Hierophant, Empress, High Priestess, Magician, Fool, Emperor. They are not in order. So this comes with a little booklet which gives you just a little bit of information. And it is... where was this from? I don't think it says. But I have the colouring book to match this one as well, which... oh, I can't reach it. But you'll have seen me do colourings from this as well. So if you are interested in tattoos or you like the artwork of tattoos, this might be a deck that speaks to you on that level. It is quite a nice simplistic deck for getting started with. There's not too much fluff to worry about. It's fairly straightforward, and yeah, I do really like it. It's just been a really nice box. Going back to collaboration decks, this is not one that I made. Well, I financed it. But so Amanda Palmer did a, I believe it was Kickstarter, to put together this tarot deck, and all of the pictures, again, each picture was done by a different artist, and it does say on the bottom of each one. I know one of the artists that was involved with creating this deck, and then yeah, this must be all the extra little bits and pieces. Yeah, so there may be artists in here that you'll recognise the work from as well, so I will zoom through these. So it's always worth, if you want to get into collecting weird tarot decks or unusual tarot decks, then taking a look at Kickstarter is always worth doing, because you will find that the most unusual things come up from that. This is from 2013, just to let you know. And yeah, I have no idea if you can still buy this now. Again, I'll have a look, and if I can find copies, you might find again them coming up on secondhand sites and stuff. Obviously, if you don't know who Amanda Palmer is, you're not sort of aware of her work, then a deck like this might not be for you. But certainly it is, you know, for anyone that's sort of in the fandom, then it's a great sort of thing to have as a fan of her music or her art, and then just to sort of see what fans have come up with. So yeah, this is my friend's artwork, which is fab. But yeah, so there's some sort of darker imagery in here, but also some really beautiful, beautiful stuff. Trying to think if this this one I'm sure is going to be recognizable to most people in the diamond painting community. So this is a Jasmine Beckett Griffiths piece that she designed for the deck. Again, people have used whatever their chosen medium was to make their cards. We've got all sorts of different things in here. There's also quite a lot of Neil Gaiman symbology in here because they were together at the time. So, yeah, so I just like the sort of inventiveness of these images. They're so very different, and they're not like anything else because they do they draw on the mythology around Amanda Palmer and her sort of persona as an artist, as a stage presence, but also people are still drawing on that traditional imagery for tarot. So yeah, very, very interesting. Oops, stuck together there. And then yeah, there's 2 spare ones that it's one of those, if you ever get to meet her you can ask her to sign them sort of things. It's a fabulous collector's deck, but not one that I would use for actual readings, I don't think. But yeah, if Dylan's watching, hopefully Dylan will appreciate this deck. Go back in. Those are the decks that I have to show you specifically. What I thought we would do is just have a look at one card across all decks and have a look at that. Okay, so we've got our tarot cards from each of the decks now. We'll start with this side. I'll just pop these other ones up here. So we can see with these High Priestess cards, there is some symbolism that continues through all. We've got the downward pointing triangle above the head. We've got the moon symbolism in 4 out of the 5. Obviously we've got 2 cats. We've got books coming across. 3 cats, hadn't included this one. So there's some sort of strain that goes through all of them. I'll just read you a generic idea of what the High Priestess represents. So the High Priestess card is about being sort of strong in yourself, about being slightly detached, and you are, as High Priestess, the keeper of wisdom, knowledge. She is often represented or seen as the Divine Virgin in this kind of archetypal form. She is a wise, feminine archetype. Not in this sense, she's not seen as the sort of sensual mother goddess in the way that the Empress card would be. The Empress card is very much more about this kind of idea of fertile motherhood, and that sort of side of the feminine. So I think that's quite interesting to look at here. Obviously, in this card, she's much more sort of demurely dressed, I guess she is. There's a crucifix in this one as well. Whereas here we've got sort of, we've got her body on show unashamedly, but not in a sexual way. Obviously we've got the sort of proud feline imagery as well. The choice to use bast, if I go to the Animal Divine book, So the seed of knowledge has been planted. The spirals represent the unending quest for wisdom and the continuous season of change and renewal. The gemstone on Bastet's forehead imbues us with purity and self-illumination. The ethereal cats seen in the background, which are circling her, are spirit guides, and the stars are beacons of deeper understanding, illuminating the path as we continue our journey. So it's about personal knowledge, personal awareness. It is this kind of idea of sort of looking to yourself. So yeah, really interesting to see. Also, the idea of pillars is quite common with the High Priestess card. And here you can see they've used the curtains by the cat to represent these pillars. Here she's got pillars on her chair. So yeah, it's interesting to see how they've carried over these ideas. So that's our High Priestess card. To look at the Death card. Put me in the same order as last time. I think that was where they were. I can't remember now. Oh, yeah, that is right. Okay, so obviously lots of people have, you know, concerns about the Death card. First things first, if you draw a Death card, it does not mean that somebody is going to die. It is more to do with the end of a situation, the end of a chapter in your life, perhaps. So we can see sort of none of these cards particularly use the traditional imagery of this idea of a Grim Reaper riding a horse. Obviously we do have a Grim Reaper here, and we've got skeleton here, but other than that they've gone sort of for slightly different imagery. The card of death from the Animals Divine Tarot is represented by Sedna. She was the supreme deity of the undersea world, feared and revered by the Inuit peoples of the Arctic region. She commanded all sea life and determined how many of her animals would be relinquished for mortal consumption. She was once a mortal maiden whose renowned beauty lured many a potential suitor to seek her hand in marriage. One day a handsome birdman dressed in the finest of parkas enchanted her with his song. She fled with him on his kayak, but soon learned that her new birdman husband had deceived her. His nest was made from smelly fish skins, and her diet consisted of the remnants of raw sea fish. She began to wither under such dreadful circumstances, and when her father came to visit her during the spring thaw, he was appalled by what he found. In a fit of rage, he killed the birdman and fled with his daughter into calm waters, but soon the birdfolk found their dead comrade and recognised the perpetrators of the murder. They pursued the mortals with a vengeance and stirred the sea waters with beating wings. The deadly waves began to overtake the small kayak that they were escaping in. Sedna's father became frightened. In a panic, he tossed his daughter into the icy waves in the hope of placating the angered spirits. Sedna grabbed the side of the boat, but her deranged father took out his axe and chopped at his daughter's fingers. This is quite dark, I apologise. As her fingers fell into the icy waters, they metamorphosized into whales, seals and other sea creatures, and Sedna's mortal being became a sea spirit. Sedna assumed an undersea throne in her new domain, called Andluvan, and here her embittered spirit presided over the sea mammals. The shamans would travel to her underwater realm and comb her hair as a means of appeasing the goddess, so she would send seals to the hunters. It says, it is important to remember that change and new opportunities may only come with the death of old ideas. So that's quite the story, and it doesn't seem to matter how many times I read it. It always kind of catches me off guard, and I can only assume that the cutting off of her fingers is why she's depicted here in a way that doesn't show her hands, but we can see the bird man or the bird spirits in the background, and then the sea creatures all around her. So she has had to transfer from land to air to sea, each of those tiny deaths leading her to a new life. So the other sort of the the general reading of a death card is that it's going to be about the death of a situation and about new beginnings. The idea that we die 100 little deaths within our lifetime to move forward, the death of each stage of our life. Okay, and then finally we've got the Ace of Cups. So got a lot of very similar, particularly with these three, there's a lot of similar symbology between them. The most basic of readings of the Ace of Cups is this idea of your cup runneth over. You have enough on an emotional level to give out into the world. Yeah, so it can represent new beginnings emotionally, new starts. This idea that you're brimming with ideas, brimming with emotion. You can't keep it in anymore, which is why we see even here the idea of the, sort of the ideas spilling out of her head, colours spilling out into the world from her imagination. Here we've got the cauldron filled, the water running. Here we've got water literally bursting out of the cup with the cat sat around underneath. Here we've got the doves with the cup spilling over, and then we've got the seal from the Animals Divine Tarot. So our seal, again, overflowing emotions, beginning of love, expressing inner emotions. Seals are animals that inhabit both watery realms and the shore, the grace and rhythmic movement within their ability to navigate through waters with flowing precision. They are willing to plunge into waters of new possibilities, allowing the heart to act as a compass on their travels. The green and blue currents help to carry the creatures into deeper realms of emotional exploration. So, and again, we see the blue and green going through, apart from this card where it's sort of much more sort of art driven perhaps. But yeah, this sort of colour scheme runs through all of them. So I'm not going to obviously do this with every single card in the deck, but if there's a particular card that you would like me to look at, let me know, and I can always put a spread out for you and pop it in the community chat for you to take a look at there. And if you are a follower who is also a patron, let me know, and I can always do a deep dive for the patrons at some point. I'm going to finish up today by doing some work on my Book of Shadows using my stamps that I got from Globleland, which contain all of the tarot card symbols. So I'm going to do a time lapse for you of that, showing me using those stamps in my Book of Shadows and popping in some information about each of the cards. Like I said before, if you want to see more tarot content, do let me know. And I hope you enjoy my little time lapse that I'm going to pop on the end. Huge thanks to Globleland for providing me with the tarot stamps. They were great fun to use, and I will definitely be using them again and again. Make sure that you are using my discount code if you want to get a set of your own. Thanks as always to my patrons. I couldn't do this without you. To everybody else, remember to leave a like, share, subscribe, become a member of the Crafty Coven, and I will see you in the next one. Stay crafty.